Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. Yeah, I haven't been around. I've been on holiday, so I haven't been around for a little while, but and so I haven't done any work at all, and I've just come into my cabin. I've been doing some tidying up, and yeah, I thought it's a lovely day outside, and I thought, well, I'm going to do some harvesting in my garden of my herbs. As you know, or some of you may not know, but I have a small apothecary called the Still Room, where I grow my own herbal herbs, and I forage for herbs, and then I make herbal remedies with them. Sometimes I sell them, well, I always use them myself and my family and my friends, and I also sell them. Sometimes I give them away, gift them, and that sort of thing. So I just thought I'd come on because yeah, I haven't been on for a while, and I have said in the past that I may well do a video regarding some of the work that I do in my apothecary, and yeah, I just thought it was a good opportunity to do it, really. So yeah, so yeah, I'm behind a little bit, and I think it's because the weather has just not been that great. You know, we've had a very cold and rainy early spring season, and it's yeah, it just sort of disrupted everything. But the last sort of 2 weeks, I guess, the garden has exploded, and it's everywhere is just this vibrant green. It's lush, and yeah, so it's a good time to start getting out and picking herbs while they're dry, and drying them or using them fresh. So I don't know if you can see. Can you see my? Yeah. So I've got my teapot here. And in there, I'll just take the lid off. It's quite hot actually. Whoops. There we go. You can see a mixture of herbs, and most of them are fresh, but some of them are dried because I wanted to include a particular ingredient, so I added that as well. And this is one of my go-to teas that I drink regularly. So I'll explain more about that, but it basically includes this is mint, lemon balm, and then this herb, which is linden or lime. So it's lime blossom and lime flower, and it's really one of my favorite herbs to drink. So I've dried that. So I gather linden late spring, early summer, and I mean, the leaves you can gather now. So linden is a common tree. It's common in parks and things like that. The distinctive little flowers, they're a pale green flower, pale green and sort of a creamy colour. They have a beautiful smell, and quite sticky. And yeah, if you go out and you're wandering around and you're seeing the trees, have a look and see if you can find linden at some point as well, because it is a lovely tree and the benefits are great. So yeah, so my tea is, as I said, it's mint and lemon balm and linden today. Sometimes I would put something like thyme in, or oregano. I don't know if I've mentioned to you that I have autoimmune and inflammation problems, chronic pain, and this tea helps me with that. So what I thought I'd do, if you're interested, is go through some of the herbs that I've got and just talk a little bit about them. And I thought it might help to identify, for you to identify what you're looking at when you go out and about. So I'm going to start with this one. So this is, as you can see, it looks like nettle. Nettle is abundant at the moment. Those little nettle tops that are so good for you are, ready to be picked. So you could go out and pick some nettle. And this is what we call dead nettle. And it has these really pretty flowers with this unusual little I'm not sure what that's called, but yeah, it's got that little piece of the what should I call it? I'm not sure anyway, but it's got that, and so it's quite easy to identify, and obviously the white flowers as well, because stinging nettle doesn't have flowers like this. And you will see it as a purple flower as well. I'm just going to make sure that you can see that. Yep. So yeah, so you can use this in a variety of ways. I think what I'll do is I'll just move these over so that you're not distracted by these. I'll just move them over there for now. Oh, little ant running around there. So I only picked a little bit of the dead nettle because I'm not going to be using it right now, but and I didn't, yeah, I'll probably pick more later on. So one of the things, as I said, I do have issues with inflammation, and this can cause pain, and chronic pain in particular, which is pain that has gone on for a long time. It's not acute, it doesn't happen quickly and then stop. It happens over a long period of time, and it just keeps coming back, or it doesn't actually go away for some people, which is particularly horrible. So I have chronic pain and inflammation. I have arthritis. You might have noticed from some of the shots from my hand, you know, video, you might see it in the particularly pronounced areas of my joints. So I have that as well, and so yeah, no, so this plant is anti-inflammatory, so it helps with that. So you could have a tea with it, and to help you, you know, regularly. If you take it fairly regularly, you could have a tea to help with your inflammation, and you can combine it with other plants as well. Some of the other ones that I'm going to show you. So that's a useful plant. I would use the leaves. I would dry them, or you can have them fresh. I wouldn't use the stem in particular, but yeah, so the leaves, you could potentially use the flowers as well. It's antibacterial as well, so it can be used for wounds. So if you had a wound that wasn't healing very well, you could make a poultice of it. So you could, you know, have some gauze or some muslin, make a tea like this, an infusion, and you could put your gauze in the infusion to soak up all of the nutrient, you know, the minerals and nutrients and all of that sort of thing, and the compounds, and they will that will help with your wound. It will help it to keep it clean. The other thing you could do is actually just you know, sort of mash up the leaves and create a poultice with it just from the leaves alone, so you don't need to do that whole infusion. But yeah, I would recommend creating an infusion with that. So you could make a tincture. So yeah, the infusion is also tea. The difference between, or how I see an infusion in a tea, or you know, describe an infusion in tea, is that an infusion I would leave longer, and I may also do it on the hob, so depending on the ingredients. So but some people use the two words tea and infusion to be the same. Sometimes I do, but just to separate the two words out, a tea might be something that you make relatively within sort of, you might pour it within 3 to 5 minutes, and infusion might be 8 minutes. So and it might be on the hob. So this has been steeping now for probably 5 minutes, and it tastes delicious. It's got a really lemony and mint flavour, and the linden that I mentioned softens that flavour as well. So you can also, as with nettle, you can treat allergy symptoms with this plant. Nettle is good for that, although you know you get a histamine reaction. It is actually, when you get stung, it is actually great as an antihistamine as well. And the other thing that it's well known for, the other problem that some people have, heavy periods, so it can be helpful for that. So taken regularly as a tea when you're having your period, and if you have particularly heavy periods, that will help. Yeast, because it's antibacterial, it will help with fungal infections and yeast infections. Again, a tea or a poultice. Eczema, and it also helps with sore throats and bronchitis. So yeah, you might want to use it for those reasons as well. So it's a good all-round herb to gather at this time of the year. It's plentiful. You'll find it, you know, oh, poor little ant, it's running around all over the place. You'll find it abundant in places where you would find nettle, you know, other sort of wild plants. So it's definitely worth looking at, you know, and if you've got a particular one of those things that I've just mentioned, a particular health need, it might be worth looking at for those. I always err on the side of caution when it comes to pregnancy and breastfeeding, and if you have severe, you know, health issues like heart disease or something like that. So I would always err on the side of caution. Do your homework, visit a medical herbalist, and find out if you're going to be able to take this as a treatment. So just be very wary if you've got any sort of particular issues. So, and that's the same with all herbs. I say that with all herbs, even the ones that are considered safe. I just think it's better to err on the side of caution. So, and get some medical, a medical herbalist can advise you on the safety of certain herbs and the conditions that you have. So that's the first thing, the first herb. This one is lemon balm. You might recognise it if you have it in your garden or if you've seen it. It looks very much like mint, and that's because it's in the mint family. Another little, no, it was just a bit of dried seed, I think. Lemon balm's got a very strong smell. It smells very lemony and earthy. It's got an earthy, lemony smell. And it's abundant. It's a bit like mint in that, you know, if you plant it, it will self-seed everywhere, and you will find it popping up everywhere in your garden. Excuse me, in between cracks of pavements, things like that. So you know, it knows how to survive, and yeah, it's a great plant. I love it. I love the flavour. I like to use it regularly in my teas. So lemon balm is used by herbalists to treat stress and anxiety. It's also used to treat insomnia because it has a mild sedative and a mild pain relief as well. So if you mix this with something like valerian, which is a very strong herb, for sleep, you would get a really good night's sleep with those two herbs. So yeah, great for insomnia, and you get, as I said, you can mix it with, I've mixed it with mint and other herbs, and it, you know, it's a lovely flavour. It's refreshing. It's nice even when it's cold. You know, you let your tea, your infusion go cold, put it in the fridge, make a nice iced tea with it. It's delicious. And I would definitely recommend this one. For all those things that I mentioned: pain relief, anxiety and stress, insomnia. Also helps with brain fog. So if you're like me, I do suffer with brain fog and memory loss, you know, memory problems, not loss, but memory problems, and it helps with those. It's got that compound that oh, I forget the name of it now. Let me think. It's got a compound that helps with memory, and there's another plant that we all know, rosemary. So rosemary has the same element of compound, and so they share that compound, and that's what helps with the memory and the brain fog. It sort of enlivens you and makes you sort of more alert. And so yeah, it's definitely one to consider. It's also used for cold sores, headaches and indigestion, and it can help with bacteria growth and viruses and things like that. So if you've got coughs, colds, sore throats, you know, that sort of thing, yeah, definitely be helpful to take some and have it during your, you know, whilst you're having the symptoms. So that's another brilliant herb to have. Oh, got a little flower in there. That doesn't belong in there. I'll talk about that one later. So yeah, so lemon balm, brilliant, delicious, and really good for us for treating various ailments. So herbalists love it. This one is ground ivy. Now ground ivy, oh, I forgot to say actually, with the lemon balm you can make a tea, a tincture. You can also make infuse the leaves in oil and give yourself a nice oil to do it. The warm method would be used with this. I would use the warm method anyways. I would steep the plant material in oil, warm it up gently, and then once you've got that oil infused, you can use the oil directly on your skin, or you could use it in a skin balm to make a skin balm or a salve, and that would help with things like yeah, any sort of to treat any sort of bacteria growth, sort of fungus infections and things like that on the skin. And yeah, it's great herb, great. So that's that one. And going back to this one, this, as you can see, this one's got some pretty purple flowers. You might have seen this. It spreads everywhere. It's ground ivy. And yeah, I mean, I allow it to grow in my garden because it gives really beautiful early spring coverage in my perennial garden and herb garden. And then as the season, you know, goes on, I then start to take it out and pick it. But it will come back no matter how much you pick it out. It will come back, so you know you will get an abundant supply every single spring. And it has these beautiful little purple flowers. I mean, they're so delicate. I'll show you up close, which are really pretty. So if you imagine your you know, your perennials haven't come through yet, and you know you've got a really bare patch in your garden, this is definitely worth growing. And then you can pick it and use it as a herbal remedy as well. So it's definitely a good plant to grow in your herb garden or in your garden in general. So with this one, you use the leaves and you can also use the flowers. You can eat it. It's used by foragers as a food source in early spring, as a green. Like, you know, maybe you would include it in salads, or, well, you know, maybe stews, things like, it's a sort of an alternative green to spinach and that sort of thing. Excuse me. So yeah, it's definitely a good plant for that. So a good, it's rich in vitamins. And yeah, so it's definitely worth eating, you know, as a good food source if you're a forager. And you know, the stems are are not very nice. I definitely wouldn't eat the stems. They're very woody and very thick and tough. But it's just the leaves, and the earlier the better, really, for leaves in in spring. Excuse me again. Delicious. So yeah, so this will help with coughs and colds. It will also help to clear sinus problems and any associated problems with your ears. So if you've got congestion, it will help to relieve the congestion. It's an expectorant, which means that it helps to relieve those things and loosen them. So when you, if you squeezed the plant and you know, pounded it and you got some juice out of it, you could use that directly on any sort of skin infections or anything like that. Or again, you can make a tea out of it. Tinctures, again, a tincture which, you know, you would either steep in vodka or some sort of alcohol, brandy, vodka, or you can use vegetable glycerin. And that will extract all of the goodness that you want out of the plant. And then tinctures you take differently to teas. Tinctures you only take drops. But again, that's a whole different subject that you might want to look into, or, you know, I might do a video on that. So yeah, it also coughs and colds, sinuses, earache, that sort of thing. Headaches, good for headaches. It's full of vitamins, and it's very aromatic. It's got a beautiful, well, it's got it's got a nice smell. I like the smell. It's very earthy, very aromatic, and so yeah, it's a nice plant all round. A good plant all round to use, and abundant again. It also has a very drying effect, as I said. So quite often herbs can have opposite effects. So you can you can have both a loosening effect of the mucous membranes, or you can have a drying effect, and this plant has both. So depending on what you have, you know, if you have a lot of mucus and you want to get rid of it, it will either dry it up, loosen it, and then dry it up, and that's what you want. So with something like a sinus infection, so that will help with that. So it has it's antibacterial and antiviral, so it's definitely a good plant to have. So that's that one. And then finally we have peppermint. So peppermint, obviously everybody knows peppermint. Abundant. Oh, the smell, if you could smell it, oh, it's just absolutely gorgeous. So you can see, if I'll just get a leaf of the lemon balm, and then a leaf of the peppermint rather, you can see they're very, very similar, very similar. Mint usually, spearmint and other mints usually have a longer leaf, as a narrower leaf, a longer narrower leaf, whereas lemon balm's sort of much wider leaf, but they have these sort of teeth, jaggedy edges on them, and lemon balm are very pronounced, and mint pronounced but not to the same degree. So that's how you could tell it. And obviously the smell, you know, one smells of mint, one smells of lemon, but from the same family. So yeah, so I don't know, a lot of people take mint for indigestion. It's well known as a digestive aid. You know, you get mint tea. I think probably mint tea is one of the most common herbal teas that you can buy, and I grow it. I find people complain about it being invasive. Lemon balm is much more invasive to my mind. No, that's mint. And so yeah, I grow it in all of my beds, and because I grow everything bunched in, you know, really tight, it doesn't take over. So, but you know, that's up to everybody's individual way of gardening. I garden that way, so I include vegetables, fruit, herbs and perennial flowers and all sorts of things in the same garden, so that I get, yeah, just a really healthy you know, garden full of different things, and I find that it doesn't take over. So I have 3 different mints. I haven't brought examples of that because I've just been out and looked, and I've got Moroccan mint, and I've also got a chocolate mint, and I've just been looking for it, and it isn't doing so well, so I've just left it, and hopefully it will pick up. I've cleared a space around it so that it has more space to grow. So yeah, you can get a variety. There's pineapple mint, there's all sorts of different mints, peppermint, and yeah, great for digestion, digestive issues, great for problems with IBS, that sort of thing. I like to take, I actually think it's a mild painkiller as well. I take it as a mild painkiller, or pain relief. It's good for the immune system, so it helps to boost the immune system. I also take it for nausea, so if I'm feeling a little bit off colour, or you know, I don't know, I've eaten something that didn't agree with me, again, mint, perfect for that. Peppermint, spearmint. Also, like lemon balm, it's great for stress. So, you know, if you mix the two together, you're going to get a nice remedy for stress relief. So it's worth taking for that as well. It's got a cooling action. You can taste that when you drink it or when you eat it. I like it to have it in salads. I actually really like it with strawberries as well. So it's like delicious juicy strawberry and then a little bit of cooling mint. It's really delicious. It's antibacterial, so it will kill bacteria or it will fight bacteria, and yeah, so it's a good all-round plant. So these 4 plants I would really recommend looking out for. You're likely to find ground ivy and white dead nettle in, you know, in your local areas, in the wilder spaces, and yeah, you can find mint out in the wild as well. I know where there's some patches near me, and I go sometimes. Water, if you have sort of ponds and things like that, you often have mint growing around those areas. It's like a water mint, it's got a flower on it, a little round purple flower, sort of like a fluffy flower. You might come across that. You could try that. It's got much more earthier, deeper texture flavour than peppermint or spearmint. And lemon balm, yeah, I mean, just grows everywhere. Once you've introduced it to your garden, it will be everywhere. So yeah, so I wanted to show you herbs that are readily available and easy to grow. And you know, if you were to forage, then you wouldn't be upsetting the balance of things because these plants are abundant. And yeah, if you are foraging, I always say to people, you know, forage sustainably. Don't take all from one plant, just a little bit from each plant that you come across, and eventually you'll have a nice little you know, bundle of herbs that you can take home and use. Just forage sensibly, and yeah, enjoy. And if you would like to know more about herbs, or you know, and their uses, if you would like more detailed descriptions of herbs and how I make herbal remedies, please do, you know, mention it in the comments. And yeah, and I'll be back soon with some work on my journals and doing some crafting. But I just thought this was a nice way to introduce you to my other job. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to coming back on fairly soon. And everybody take care, and bye for now.